climbing and pull-ups. Okay? So if you're reaching up and this part is more stable, then the pec is going to bring it up towards that. And then you have latissimus dorsi. And then also in the notes there, when we talk about for palpation, you have the anterior axillary fold and then the posterior fold. So the anterior axillary fold is this right here. Right? Your axilla is basically your armpit right here, right? So the meat part in the front here is the pec major, and then the posterior axillary fold is going to be the latissimus and the teres major. Because we'll get into the latissimus. So that's basically like the wide muscle here. Okay, when somebody has like broad shoulders or something and they're coming in, you know, your latissimus is the muscle that's going to form the profile here. The muscle coming in like that. Because, you know, if you talk about in the gym, you're talking about lat pull down. So you're doing motions like this. That's going to be pulling down here. And then also the pec. So those muscles, the pec and the lats, are going to also be done a lot with swimming. You know, it's like the breaststroke or pulling down like this. So the origins is going to be the SPs of T7 to 12. And then also the thoracolumbar fascia. Remember we talked about that with all the erector muscles? It's kind of a sheath that goes around these erector spinae muscles so that the latissimus is going to attach to the spinous processes, but there's too much other muscle bulk here, so the latissimus muscle doesn't start until you get outside past the erector spinae muscles, but it still has a sheath, or the thoracolumbar fascia, that attaches to the spinous process. So first it starts out as a sheet of fascia, and then it becomes muscle belly as it comes around. And then also the iliac crest, and then the lower part of the lower 3 or 4 ribs. And then what it does is as it's coming up like this, it spirals like that. So the fibers are coming in like this, and then they twist as they come into here. And so then it's coming around more to the front, to the intertubercular groove, which remember is more towards the front here. So it's going to do, even though it's on the back, it's the same thing as the teres major. It's one of the muscles on the back, and it comes forward to this side. So what kind of rotation is it going to do? If it's coming all the way to here, it's going to do internal rotation. Right? So it's like when you do butterfly stroke, it's like this. So when you're doing this, the latissimus. Right? The teres major and thigh are internal rotators, because even though they're coming from the back here, they wrap around. So if you're looking here, so this is that intertubercular groove right here. So these muscles are coming over here and coming to the front part of the humor. We're going to turn this. The other muscles on the back here, the spinatus and the teres minor, they're external rotators like this, whereas the latissimus and the teres major are internal rotators. Okay. Ready to turn that? Again, it's going to be involved with downward power stroke. Anytime we do this, so the pec major and latissimus are going to be involved in pulling down like this. And then somebody's doing the delta. So then we have the pit cup muscle. So you have spinatus, and again, that's the muscle that's in this upper area here. And then it's going to go and insert onto the humerus like this. So it's coming this upper part above the spine, and it's pulling up like that. So it can do abduction, but mostly these muscles all work together to hold that humerus into the glenoid fossa. Okay. And so it's on the upper part, because it's like the supraspinatus is more the top part of the rotator cuff. So it's going to go into the uppermost part of the greater tuberosity. And it's going to stabilize the glenohumeral joint, and it will do a little bit of abduction, but mostly it's to pull it in like that. And then the infraspinatus is the infraspinous fossa down here. And then it's going to go more into the middle portion of the greater tuberosity. Because the supraspinatus attached a pie on it, and then the infraspinatus is going to be a little bit more inferior to that. And then it's also going to stabilize the joint and do a little bit of lateral rotation. And then you have the teres minor, which is moving farther down on the inferior part of the scapula. It's coming across here, and that's going to insert even farther down on the greater tuberosity. So again, this rotator cuff, it pulls the humerus in like that, and it forms a cuff around it, so it's in tight. It's almost just surrounds the joint capsule. So you have the joint capsule that surrounds right around the joint, and then just outside the edge of that is the rotator cuff that's pulling it in. And then also, then you have the subscapularis. Right? That's going to be more onto the front part here, so that covers all of this whole surface on the front. Okay? And then that's going to be on the front part of the capsule, so then it's going to do internal rotation. So basically the subscapularis and the infraspinatus and teres minor cover pretty much all of the surface of the front and back of the lower part of the scapula. But that leaves this edge right here for what muscle to attach. What's the one that pulls the scapula in? What's that? Serratus, yeah. Because the serratus is coming all the way in from here. Because if you have the scapula up against here like this, you have the, if you're palpating something and you're going in right here, what muscle would you be palpating up against here? Would be the subscapularis, right? And then on the other side of your fingers, you would feel the serratus anterior muscle, because the serratus anterior is like this. So when you're palpating in here, the back side of my fingers is going against the subscapularis, but the front part here is the serratus anterior going this way. Right? So you're going in between the two different muscles. All right. So then now we're still coming from the teres major. Is going to be coming from the bottom part of the inferior angle of the scapula here. And then it crosses around to the other side of the humerus. Yeah? Because that goes along with the latissimus. So again, it's an internal rotator. And when we're doing palpation, well, there's a way you can do that where you have the person do this and you can palpate and you can feel the teres major pop up. And then coracobrachialis is going to be the coracoid process of the scapula here. And then it just goes to the humerus or the brachium. So it's going to be the mid-humerus shaft, kind of along where the deltoid is, and down in this area here. And then basically it's going to do flexion of the arm and then adduction, working along with the pec major. All right, so here's part of the rotator cuff. What's this one here? Supraspinatus. How about this one? What's that? Infraspinatus, because here it's all in relation to the spine of the scapula. It's all based on this right here. Supra is above, infra is below. And then what's this one here? Teres minor. So you can see it's part of the rotator cuff. It goes right around to the humerus. And then here's the teres major. It's coming from the bottom here, but it's diving deep and coming around to the front. So that's why it's an internal rotator. Because you can see it's going in and it follows the path with the, what's this one here? Latissimus. Okay. And then on the front here, you have the pec major. And then here's going to be more of the sternal fibers, the clavicular, and then this is more of the sternal fibers here.